Democrats are growing more bullish about their chances of flipping the Senate. But in Michigan, a primary fight could douse those hopes.
Donald Trump should not be the president.
I'm leading the articles of impeachment on RFK Jr.
People love to say, well, it's because he's Arab and Muslim. No, it's because I'm from Michigan.
What started as an intra-party feud now is a clash over the party's future, what it stands for in the Trump era, and just how far left they should go. The battle includes former public health official Abdul El-Sayed, a 41-year-old who is backed by Bernie Sanders and is staking out the most progressive positions.
This is about electability. Your party wants to hold on to this seat, of course.
There is this notion that electability is about being the least offensive. If that were true, why would Donald Trump have won the presidency twice? And too often in the Democratic Party, we're willing to move on our positions because of what Republicans say about us. I don't back down to anyone on anything.
The party establishment has its own favorite, Haley Stevens, a more moderate congresswoman from the Detroit suburbs.
Every single poll shows I'm the best person or the only person that can beat Mike Rogers.
And then there's a state senator, Mallory McMorrow, angling for both wings of the party, while offering this warning as the GOP unites behind Mike Rogers, a former congressman who narrowly lost a Senate bid in 2024, as they aim to make Michigan their firewall to prevent Democrats from netting the 4 seats they need to win back power.
And if he wins this seat, if they are successful in trying to buy this seat, then there is no path at all for Democrats to take control of the U.S. Senate.
Now a GOP outside group is preparing to spend a staggering $45 million in the final weeks of the midterms, more than any other pickup opportunity, all as Rogers now has a bigger war chest than any of his 3 would-be opponents. That's left Democrats struggling with a thorny question in this swing state that President Donald Trump narrowly won twice and lost once. Should they nominate a firebrand to energize the base and take a harder line?
Anybody committed to shutting down Trump and the MAGA movement, that's
number one for you.
That's number one.
Or a more traditional Democrat, or even a leadership ally who could appeal to swing voters like this one.
Your vote is up for grabs.
It very much is.
So it could be either Democrat or Republican.
It could be.
Speaking to CNN in his hometown of Ann Arbor, El-Sayed went further to the left than his foes on issues like abolishing ICE.
It's just the same lack of courage that Democrats deploy to argue as to why they should be taking money from corporations or why they should be hedging their bets on clear, obvious policies like abolishing ICE or guaranteeing health care through Medicare for all. And I think what you're seeing in this race right now is that people are sick and tired of the same old Democrats who lack courage.
But a glaring divide is over Israel, in a state with a huge Arab-American community in Dearborn and a big Jewish voting bloc in Oakland County.
Why are you supporting Abdul?
Because he's not taking AIPAC money.
He's against the apartheid, against sending tax money to fund a genocide in Israel.
An independent UN inquiry concluded last year that Israel had committed genocide against Palestinians in Gaza, an accusation the Israeli government firmly rejects. El-Sayed, a son of Egyptian immigrants who's born in Michigan and lost to Governor Gretchen Whitmer in a tense 2018 primary, was blunt on his views.
You said the Israeli government is evil. Do you think they're just as evil as Hamas?
Yes, killing tens of thousands of people makes you pretty damn evil. It's not how evil is this one versus that one. Hamas, evil. Israeli government, evil. We could say both.
Is Netanyahu, in your view,
war criminal?
He's a war criminal?
Absolutely. Do you not think he is? When you conduct a genocide, you're a war criminal.
What do you make of the fact that Haley Stevens is backed by AIPAC?
I find that disastrous for our politics. And you should be more interested in what's happening in Michigan than you are interested in what's happening in Tel Aviv.
But about 60 miles away in Lansing, one Stevens supporter touts the congresswoman's support for Israel.
It's a normal position for normal Democrats to support and, be allies with Israel. I'm a normal Democrat. I want to vote for a normal Democrat.
The 42-year-old Stevens, who first won a battleground district in 2018, is running a middle-of-the-road campaign and wants to stay focused on economic issues.
You have the support of AIPAC in this race. I'm wondering, do you embrace that support?
Well, look, I'm campaigning in a grassroots way alongside a ton of engaged Michiganders.
But there's also talk about, from some of your opponents here, that Israel, in their view, committed genocide in Gaza. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that. And like I said, I've been very consistent on this issue, Manu. I just think we need to see long-term peace. We need to make...
Is that position, though, going to hurt you in Dearborn, where you need those Arab voters?
Look, I'm out here every single day hearing from Michiganders who are dealing with rising costs, who are worried about their jobs.
McMorrow, the 39-year-old Democratic whip in the state Senate, goes further than Stevens.
Do you think that Benjamin Netanyahu has committed war crimes in Gaza?
I do. Watching the devastation, I do believe the war crimes were committed.
As she stumps in breweries, including one in the Detroit suburb of Canton,
I like Mallory. She's a tough talker.
McMorrow says El-Sayed's rhetoric does not match reality.
Rhetoric is nice, but results are better.
Do you think that he is pretty much all rhetoric, his campaign?
I think a lot of it is.
Is the Democratic Party looking for someone, though, who really wants to shake things up?
Absolutely. Just doing rallies and talking about issues and having rhetoric without knowing how to actually implement those things is not going to shake it up at all. That's just lobbing bombs from the outside.
Yet McMorrow has drawn criticism from El-Sayed for shifting her stances on issues such as Israel and corporate PAC money.
It's not just your positions, it's about whether or not you truly and deeply hold on to them.
But does it look like to you that McMorrow is shifting her position? She does not have the same deeply held views as you.
I know where my positions are, and it's clear that she's moved on a lot of these questions.
While Stevens accepts corporate PAC money, McMorrow says she now refuses it after accepting it in past campaigns.
That's a change. That's a flip.
McMorrow defends her pivot.
Over the years, I learned that not only can we campaign differently, but we can't be Republican light. And I am willing to be somebody who evolves.
El-Sayed has accused McMorrow of co-opting his positions and copying his homework poorly.
This is governing, it's not middle school.
Yet it's El-Sayed who has generated the most headlines, like when he barnstormed college campuses with widely followed left-wing streamer Hassan Piker, who has a history of inflammatory comments, including saying Hamas is a, quote, 1,000 times better than Israel, and this about the 9/11 attacks.
America deserved 9/11, dude. F it, I'm saying it.
While Piker later walked back the remarks about 9/11, El-Sayed's opponents have seized on them.
Should he have brought him in to campaign with him?
I wouldn't have.
Yeah, well, first of all, that's not someone I'd be campaigning with.
Why not?
Because it's un-American. And we shouldn't say that America is, deserved 9/11. This is about winning for Michigan.
El-Sayed pushes back.
What do you say?
My understanding of America is it's a place where we have freedom of speech. My understanding of America is it's a place where we're willing to have conversations with folks with whom we disagree. I went on Fox and Friends this morning. Is it un-American to go and speak on Fox and Friends, or are we drawing certain kinds of lines? And it's that penchant for cancel culture that I think people hate about Democrats.
But you're actively campaigning with them. This is a choice you're making. So,
for sure.
So why make that choice to actively campaign with them?
Because I know that he's having a conversation with a number of folks who feel locked out.
Part of that conversation is whether the party should dump Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, whom Stevens has praised.
You had called Chuck Schumer a great leader. Do you stand by that?
Look, inside baseball, look, you know what? That kind of stuff we'll deal with when I get there.
But McMorrow says it's time for a change.
We need new leadership in the Senate,
Haley Stevens told me that that's an inside baseball discussion.
I can tell you what I hear on the ground, which is people want a better Democratic Party.
Let's turn back to my panel, including David Weigel, who's been covering this as well. And David, you tweet that kind of summed up basically the entire premise here. The entire primary, basically, El-Sayed, I'm taking the most maximal left-wing position. McMorrow, I wouldn't go that far. Stevens, oh golly, I love manufacturing. It kind of speaks to where we're seeing the party. How do you see this?
We like to be pithy.
Yes.
But that's been the dynamic for a year. El-Sayed got in a year ago and just put down his stakes as the Bernie candidate, day one endorsement from Bernie Sanders, who's been more aggressive, I think, this cycle than the past, in saying, these are my candidates. You guys don't know how to win. I do. One of the challenges of Michigan is Democrats do know how to win Michigan. Not against Trump twice, but Michigan has a record of senators who are not that flashy, who do the work. Debbie Stabenow and Gary Peters get reelected despite not being social media stars. And the offer that they have is from El-Sayed, a very aggressive, progressive to the left-wing media star, McMorrow has been, there's a reason she was on stage as a state senator at the DNC in prime time. McMorrow's a communicator that Democrats feel very comfortable with. Stevens is, I was in Michigan when she won her 2022 member-on-member primary with the help of AIPAC. That and the idea that Chuck Schumer supports her are very unpopular when I talk to Michigan Democratic voters, even moderate Democratic voters. The fact that AIPAC was for her in 2022 was coming up a year ago. I think it's probably coming up much more now that she can't be trusted on not just the intricacies of Gaza, but that she is a D.C. establishment Democrat. And even though we had those very recently in Michigan, maybe we need something completely different now.